So hitting that deep corner, I call it like generic or vanilla cross. You're hitting through somebody's chest. So if you don't have a 103-mile-an-hour fastball, that's not going to be really effective. And even if you can throw that 103-mile-an-hour fastball, throw it into space where they can't touch it. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Better at Beach Volleyball podcast. We are considering calling it the Better at Beach Volleyball Coaching Podcast. However, we need to know if when you're listening, you are listening as a coach or a player. We know that visuals help out a lot of players, and we know that coaches have an obligation and a responsibility to their players. So we're hoping that some of you coaches can reach out to us either by DM or just email support at Better at Beach and say, hey, I listened to your podcast and I'm a coach. That's really all we need to know, and we would love to hear from you. But today, we are talking about the 5 unforgivable attacking mistakes that people make, how to fix them, and then drills that will also help you fix them. Quick announcements on camps. We have Punta Cana all-inclusive for 7 days, November 29th to December 5th. If you want to come to an all-inclusive resort in the Dominican Republic with us and learn volleyball and play volleyball and make new friends and hang out with some pros, go ahead to betteratbeach.com/camps and sign up. You could also book your own private camp anywhere in the world that is on that camps page. August 22nd, we'll be in Chicago, Illinois. August 29th, men's AA players, so advanced level men's. Come on out to Hermosa Beach and hang out with me. We'll beat you up. September 12th, Oklahoma City. September 19th, Las Vegas, Nevada. September 26th, Seattle. Youngsville, Louisiana, October 3rd. Long Island, New York, October 10th. Orlando, Florida, October 17th. Fort Myers, Florida, October 31st, and Houston, Texas at Third Coast Volleyball, December 12th. Head to betteratbeach.com/camps and sign up. Before we get into the meat and potatoes, Brandon, happy birthday.
Hey, Mark, happy birthday.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you so much.
It's always great that I never forget when you're born.
Right? Yeah, it's easy. It's nice. Easy. So guys, we're filming on our birthday, and both of our kind of wishes was just to go out and hang out and play some 4-on-4 volleyball with our friends. So filming a podcast, doing a little bit of coaching, and then we get to play volleyball with some of our favorite people out in Hermosa. So it's gonna be a good day.
Yeah, and I think I don't know. I'm always I think the birthday time is always a good time to reflect and kind of see where you're at and what you've done and everything like that. And just want to say thanks. We've been best friends for a lot of years now. And
a lot now.
Yeah, I've been out in California now with you for, it'll be 7 years in October. Wow. Which is crazy to think about. But I absolutely love my life. I get to hang out on the beach with amazing people. I get to travel the world. I get to hang out with my best friend, and thanks for making this a thing with me. And
not a bad way to live.
Wouldn't change anything. Yeah.
Thanks for helping and building the empire with me. I said when I brought you on, like, yeah, it's gonna be cool when this thing is big, but like, what's the point of standing on top of a hill alone if you got no one to share the view with? Like, kind of sucks.
I appreciate that mindset that you've always had that. Like, I remember when we first got out of college, you were always emailing, like texting our friends, being like, we should go in on a house together, like buy these homes. And it makes life special. So you're doing a hell of a job, bud.
Thanks, man.
I love you. And it's been a fun ride. I'm excited to see where the next couple years go.
Right back at you. Yeah, we'll check back in when you're 40, and then again when I'm 50.
That's another good thing. It's great to have a best friend that's a couple years older than you. You keep me young.
Oh, does that hurt?
Big birthday for you.
Yep.
And you get to celebrate by something I'm excited for is I get to be in the box with you in Manhattan in 2 days.
Playing the qualifier. We're back in there.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very excited for that. That'll be cool to see you back out on the sand. I think you're crushing it. You're in shape, and I'm excited that I'll get to be a part of the team still.
Yeah. Manhattan Beach is going to be fun. I'm excited. And it's like, I stay in shape, work out. I play volleyball like twice a week with people who I enjoy playing with. Like that's the level of interest that I have now. Like I want to play. I told the members online, I said, I have 2 requirements for if I'm going to go out and play volleyball. Do I enjoy your presence? And can you set? If you don't pass, I don't care. Like if you don't get kills, I don't care. But if you can't set, like, nah, we're not gonna have fun.
Yeah, that's pretty easy thing to follow if you're with the guys you're playing with.
Yeah, we got a lot of great setters out here. Yeah. So, but all right. So your attacking game sucks. Why? Not you. I was talking to the general person who's listening. Your attacking game sucks, and why? Okay. The very first thing. So we're gonna give you big mistakes that we see and how to fix them, and then we're gonna give one drill that is just an easy to implement drill so that you can fix it. And we just filmed this. We're filming more feature YouTube videos, going back to our roots of creating those like really nice, high produced videos. And what we talked about yesterday was aiming, knowing where you're going to hit. And I think in the beginning of most careers, you're just chasing the ball and then trying to hit usually generic cross, and then you make up a line swing when you have to. But there are really specific zones that we have to attack on the court. And no matter what, you have to figure out a way. If there's a giant bubble around somebody that is like the length of their arms up over their heads and outside them, how do you hit outside their little sphere of defensive influence? The easy spots. So hitting that deep corner, I call it like generic or vanilla cross. You're hitting through somebody's chest. So if you don't have a 103-mile-an-hour fastball, that's not going to be really effective. And even if you can throw that 103-mile-an-hour fastball, throw it into space where they can't touch it. And we get so blinded with power that we aim for the biggest part of the court, and defense is naturally set up in the biggest part of the court. So if you're hitting hard, that generic cross that's going to hit the back corner, it's not a good swing because it's going to hit somebody in the chest or the platform. All right. So we have to figure out what angles work, and then also what trajectories, like what flight path the ball is taking, because you can access the back corner if you hit it high enough and over the defender where they can't touch it. Now you're forcing them into a tomahawk, or maybe they have to turn and run for the ball, right? But if you are going to use the cross, the hard cross, and you can't light the ball up, right? You need to find that jumbo, or you can aim middle, or you can aim sharp sideline. So sharp sideline is, if you guys can like visualize a court with me, and you go to the sideline and you go a third of the way in from the service line. And then you draw a little like 3-foot wide rectangle to the net, right? That is a good zone for you to hit outside on the perimeter in front of the defender, where they have to take at least a step to hit it. The problem with hitting that ball hard, or the difficulty for most people, is not everybody has the height to hit that down and sharp. So for a lot of players, that's reserved for cut shots, like sharp cut shots, to access that part of the court. Or if you can't hit quite as steep, or you're stuck in the middle of the court where now you need to have extreme downward angles, which means you need to have an extreme vertical, right? The next best place where you can hit the hardest is deep middle. And this is like a big shocker. If you've ever heard us say deep middle scores points, it's like unbelievable how many points deep middle can score. So we want to really attack a lot of balls in the seam, and then a lot of balls in that sharp diagonal corner, along with, of course, my line perimeter. But even if you are attacking short, there's a few ways we can do that. You can poke in front of the blocker. You can poke short middle. You can use the baby cut, which maybe the baby cut lands on the line side, but the ball is moving towards the diagonal defender. So they both kind of freeze, and then they argue saying, that's your ball, that's your ball. But if you're just hitting and you're not aiming, there is a big problem. And even when you start producing smoke, like your arm swing mechanics and your jump get you to the point where you can hit balls down hard, you need to access perimeters and seams so that you're not hitting at defenders. It feels good when you hear that thud when you hit somebody in the chest. And yeah, okay, you overpowered them. But if you hit them in the chest 10 times, like even with the most velocity, like 4 or 5 of them are coming up, and now your hitting percentage is down, and you're going to start losing matches.
Yeah, I like that perimeter idea. Little story, like I know when I first started playing, a drill that I would do is I would either draw or I would set up another set of lines inside the court. And the distance, like if you can imagine another set of lines inside of the normal beach volleyball court, and if it's like 1.5 feet, 2 feet from the sideline, and I wanted every single one of my attacks to land in there. And I used to get like a little angry when I was playing, because like I would go up and I would be doing all this training, and then I would play in tournaments, and I would hit lines a lot. And the other side would be like, oh, he's so lucky. And I would get angry, and I'd be like, no, it's not. I'm doing it on purpose.
I'm aiming there.
Yeah, I'm aiming there. But yeah, I think we just did a YouTube video that covered a little bit of this yesterday, but I think that idea of keeping the ball on a foot from the sideline, obviously we have those specific spots that you just mentioned. I love deep middle. I think that's great. It's underutilized way too much. I think there's even like a saying, like, in a pickle, go deep middle.
When you're in a fiddle, shoot deep middle.
What is it?
When you're in a fiddle, shoot deep middle.
Yeah, there it is. So I was like, I know it's something like that.
Maybe Karch. I don't know.
Yeah, but yeah, I think just having the idea of how do I get this ball to the sideline or the end line is huge, because there's a reason that the defense goes back to that like serve receive position when they're playing, and that's because right now, that's especially at the intermediate beginner levels, that's where 95% of the balls are landing, right? So if you can be that 5% that's not hitting those zones, you're going to score a lot, because people don't like moving. If they have to take a step and a dive, they're probably not getting the touch. And yeah, I think that mindset is perfect. So I think you nailed it there.
Yeah. And there are some simple drills that you can do here. And like if you're on a public beach or something and they have garbage cans, set up 2 or 3 garbage cans where the defense would normally be. And all you have to do is hit as hard as you can and not hit those garbage cans. Like you do that time and time again, and it'll work. If you don't have garbage cans, fine. Draw those lines. But remember that perimeter, like that box that we talked about, remember that the back corners of that perimeter, those are only for jumbos. So even if you hit a perimeter ball, but it would cross where the defender is standing, then it's not really there. That's why I like to walk a third of the way from the service line and then draw those perimeter boxes. And then we have this one little seam down the middle. And you can also design a king and queen of the court where you draw some lines, or you put some maybe tennis balls or cones on the court, like soft cones. And then you could say, all right, you get 3 points anytime you get a kill that is untouched in one of those zones. And we did that with the campers today, or this weekend when we were working on short shots. I said, we're playing king of the court, but we drew a line and I laid cones a third of the way back from the net. And I said, since we're working on short balls, okay, we're going to play king and queen of the court. Every point is worth 1. unless you get an untouched kill in the front third of the court. And then, we had one guy who finished it in 4 swings or 4 points because he pumped him deep, and then chopped him short.
Beautiful.
So
I like it.
Mistake number 1, you're not aiming. Make sure you access perimeter. Make sure you access deep middle. And we just gave you the drill. Mm-hmm. Brandon, unforgivable attacking mistake.
Yeah, number two. This is something I harp on a lot, and it's poor approach spacing. So like, if you don't understand how far from the net you should be or how far from your setter you should be, then you're kind of just going into it blind. And so a really easy way to do this is, I love doing this at our camps. We just reverse engineer the approach, and you can go to the net, do a full swing so that you don't touch the net. That'll allow you to find your distance from the net. Once you find that, turn into the court, do your normal approach off the net. We like a 4-step approach. That's what we teach. I think that distance, regardless of what you're trying, if you do a 3-step, if you do a 5-step, whatever it is, that distance is still important. Mm-hmm. And you're just going to do your approach off of the net, right, left, if you're right-handed, left, right if you're left-handed. And that will allow you to find the minimal distance that you should be approaching from the net. If you like your set off more, it should be a little bit further than that. Mm-hmm. Nobody should be going in front of that, because if you're getting set any tighter than that starting position, then you're already in trouble. So The reason that spacing from the net is important is because you have to keep the ball in front of you. One of the things that we're kind of talking about today as well is vision. And this spacing will help you tackle that, so you'll be able to see the other side of the court more. And the biggest part is that when we're attacking, we need to have momentum. Mm-hmm. So like, if you can imagine an airplane going down the runway and then taking off, airplanes need that starting run in order to get up in the air. And it's the same thing for approaching. Is a lot of times what we see is people don't have the right spacing, so they're really close to the net, and that ball is now dropping on top of them. Mm-hmm. And I like to say it in the way that if that happens, the ball is the one attacking you rather than you being the attacker. And if the ball is attacking you, your timing's going to be off. It's hard to, even if you're great, it's hard to understand when that ball's coming down and you should make a contact. So if you're somebody who like hits the ball all over the place on your hand, you're probably underneath the ball too early. Mm-hmm. And so that spacing from the net is huge. It'll allow you to have some momentum up into your swing. It'll allow you to hit on your way up and keep everything in front of you. And then also I'll talk about spacing from the setter. I think we've simplified this very well, where we have the rule of 10. And so if your attacking arm is close to your setter, then you should be 10 feet or more away from your setter. I like being pretty close to 10 feet. Play around with that. Some of you might like to be inside if you're playing on like a really deep beach, or if you're on a shallow beach, you might be able to get a little bit further away. And then if you're on the opposite side, and like if I'm a right-handed right side player and my attacking arm is further from my setter, then I want to be within 10 feet of my setter. And the reason for that is that it just allows your setter to leave the ball on your attacking shoulder easier. And if the ball's on our attacking shoulder, we can follow all those mechanics and everything like that. We can have a really nice, strong, high contact. And that'll help you kind of get the ball over. So I think spacing is huge. And I would argue that when we do our camps, when people understand the spacing, it is one of the easiest ways for them to level up in their game. If you're a B level trying to get to A, if you're an A trying to get to double A, the spacing alone can get you there the fastest.
Yeah. Once we show them that spacing and they know where to go, the responsibility they have, so that they are actually creating a setting window that's big enough for their setter to hit. And then we explain to the setter like why they did that space, so that you can set inside or outside that setting window, then it's lights out. Without teaching attacking, with teaching only spacing and where set belongs, it's like, boom, we see these light bulbs go on, and then you're automatically a better attacker because you're in a better position so often. And I want to give that caveat to, if you're in transition, because I saw one of our top campers this last weekend, he would send a ball to the back line, and then he would start his approach way further back. And he was like, well, I want to help my setter. And I said, your approach distance, your body measured it out. Like, that is where you have to get, whether you passed a short ball or whether you pass the ball to the back line, you don't hang out with your setter. You go to your approach distance from the net, and then their job is to get you back to the net. Right. I think there are a couple really easy drills that you can do to help this. And one of them, there's not even a hit. So the first one is have somebody toss to you, pass, and get to your point of hesitation. If you're a left side, 10 feet from your setter and your approach length from the net before the setter touches. If you can pass and move and get to that spot before the setter touches the ball, good. That's the first baseline. How much are you going to do this? Like, once you understand the concept, try to get that drill live and just figure it out. You don't want to spend a half hour doing this drill. This is like 10 minutes, understand the concept. Okay. Same thing from the right side. Pass, let the setter catch the ball. But before that setter catches the ball, make sure you're within 10 feet of width of that setter and you're at your approach line. And then coaches, throw all different depths. So throw a short ball, see if your hitter can get there. Throw a ball high and deep on the back line, see if they move up to their hitting position before the setter catches. And once they grab onto that, you're gold. If you're doing this alone, so you don't have a coach or you're not feeding and you're a player, easy way to, the width is harder to like make sure that you do it alone. But an easy way to get your spacing from the net is after you do that backwards approach that Brandon said, where you approach away from the net, take your flip-flop, take a bag or a water bottle, whatever you brought to the beach, and put it right there next to the court. That way you have this visual cue of, okay, before the setter sets the ball, there's no way that I should be in front of this flip-flop or this water bottle that I put outside the court. And that's an easy way for you to like remind yourself constantly that that's where you should be. And I actually did that defensively because I would crowd the net a lot too much. I was so used to playing libero and being like 13 feet from a monster hitter that I got comfortable there, even though it's not a great position to be. So I had to remind myself to keep depth so that I would get more platform digs instead of getting blasted in the chest. And putting a flip-flop on the side of the court during all my practices just reminded me of that. And every time I finished a point and I looked after the other team got a kill and I looked at my marker, I was like, oh, okay, I got to remind myself to get back. So it's a nice like self-coach without needing a coach.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I think it's hard to conceptualize a little bit, but when we're talking about the time between your pass and the start of your approach, that might be the most important work that you have to do within a rally. And the more you're willing to work and get to that spot, the more effective you're going to be on offense. The less you're willing to do that extra work and get to that spot, the more trouble you're going to be in. So like we had a podcast I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, where we talked about a lot of serving ideas, and we were talking about short and deep. And this is why short and deep serves are so effective, is because a lot of times what happens is, as passers, we go in, we pass the ball, and wherever we pass the ball, that's where we start our approach from. So if you can be somebody that goes against that grain and say, doesn't matter where I'm passing the ball, I'm going to work really hard to get to this flip-flop, get to this starting position, start my approach at the right time and the right distance, then that's where you're going to see success. Obviously, the hardest part is that as matches go on, we get more tired. So you start convincing yourself a little bit like, oh, I don't need to work as hard on this one. But if you can fight that idea and be like, nope, between my pass and the start of my approach, that's going to be the hardest time that I work. I think you can set yourself up for a lot of success.
I like it.
Yeah.
Unforgivable mistake number 3 that really isn't talked about enough, and that Miles Bertain talks about a lot, is not recognizing or utilizing your hitting fan. Mm-hmm. And so the discussion of my hips need to be facing the setter, my hips need to face the ball, I need to use my hips. Or if you are trained in indoor and you get your left foot way out in front of your right foot on your final 2 steps so that like your hips turn. There are places and times where that works and some where it doesn't. So if you're at home or you're listening and you're not driving, I want straight in front of you to recognize to be 12 o'clock. Then I want you to put one arm facing 1 o'clock and one arm facing 10 o'clock. This is your hitting fan. Okay. So that's where your hardest balls can be hit, just barely outside of your right shoulder and pretty decent amount across your body. That's where you can hit the hardest balls. So when you take off, your hips, your toes should be lined up so that that hitting fan with your right arm at 1 o'clock and your left arm at 10 o'clock. Okay. So that faces the majority of the court so that you can access most of the court with heat when you need to. And that also makes shooting a lot easier because shooting is all just a wrist turn. Like there's really nothing that you need beyond a pronating your wrist or supinating your wrist to access different parts of the court. But for heat and the ability to hit more places hard so that you can access it, you need to take off so that your toes and your hips are facing that. So some people who are left sides, they really wrap their hips around, they fully face their setter, and that's okay. But if you do that from the antenna, it's okay. If you end up doing that from the middle of the court or inside of zone 2, so like 10 feet in from the antenna, now you're losing power access to the sharp left part. And a lot of your hitting fan is now starting to face out of bounds, right? So in the middle, I teach people to flatten out their hips, which means if you're a left side and you face middle, we want your hips to be facing almost directly middle, maybe up to the back right corner. If you're a right side, this turns into a nightmare and people are cutting their power and their ability to get to the ball. Because if you take a ton of FIVB and AVP players and you see where their toes are facing on takeoff from right side, you'll actually see that their hips and their toes are facing the back middle of the court. And if you were trained as a left side, if you were trained as a middle, or somebody just told you, oh, you always have to get your hips closed so that you can rotate, that's a misunderstanding of biomechanics. But if you do that on the right side, now you have a set that's falling over your shoulder. So the set's attacking you, like Brandon said, you're not attacking it. And your hitting fan is completely out of bounds. So all of the hardest hits your body could produce would be facing out of bounds directly to the court. So now you're only shooting, right? There's no way that you can generate hard heat if your hips are facing outside the court on the right side. So your toes and your hips really need to face maybe the back quarter, but I prefer the back middle so that you can use that 1 o'clock to 10 o'clock, and that's taking on the swath of the court. And then it would be pretty much the exact same, because if you're hitting in the middle as a right side, fine, you just still need to operate with that hitting fan. And if you get caught in situations where your hitting fan is facing, somewhere outside the court, it's not the end of the world, but if it continues to happen, you won't have the ability to hit the ball hard and access the majority of the court.
Yeah, I think that idea of the hitting fan is great. When I was in college, we called it I think it was a hitting corridor, or like a hitting hallway, which allowed me to kind of visualize it pretty well. And something that I've been saying, like, I think you and I, when we first started coaching a lot, especially when we were creating all of our courses and everything like that, we would say like left side, your hitting corridor, hitting fan should be at that like strong cross court angle. And while I do think that that's great, I think the error that we see with that a lot is people getting too far outside. And now that hitting fan is going out through the sideline.
Yeah.
So like, I think an easy way to think about this, if you're confused about the corridor or the fan or whatever, is like, imagine you're walking down a hallway, and after you hit, if you continue your momentum after you land, that momentum should take you out through the end line. I've loosened up on that a lot. I think some people do a really good job of staying, like that rule we talked about, the rule of 10 and being 10 feet away from your setter. Some of you, even as a right-handed left side player, you might feel more comfortable around like 8 to 6 feet, if that's what allows your momentum to go forward. And then I think a little bonus tip for today, even though we're not talking about setting, is if you're a setter and you want to be extremely effective and be one of those people that Mark invites out to play with him, and because you're a good setter, understanding those corridors or that fan is huge, because if you can create that fan for them, then that's what makes a really good setter, in my opinion, is like, we're not just setting spots on the court, we're setting a ball that allows that attacker's hitting fan to go through the end line. And if you can do that, you're helping your partner be more effective as well. So
yeah. And the
last a little bit of peripheral vision. So like after they pass, you should be able to see them before you set, and then you're setting the ball that helps them.
Yeah. And the last part of this is that some people have different hitting fans. So one of the guys that I'm working with online one-on-one, we noticed that from the left side, he was hitting some of his hardest balls wrist away, so outside the right side of his body. Okay. And I was like, hey, your body might be shaped and your mechanics might just be shaped so that wrist away is what your body favors. So we actually changed the angle of approach that he takes in, so that he is now going outside in, so breaking our base rules from the right side, so that he hits his hard balls straight on. And then he also can access his wrist away with a lot of heat, because he favors wrist away. That's where he's comfortable. That's where he generates heat. Some people really favor cross body. So then you could play with those approach angles.
Yeah. And I'm going to move on. I'm going to number. So I'm actually going to jump one, because I think our mistake number 4 is kind of like the cherry on top. So I'm going to go with, I'm going to skip to 5. And then we'll talk about vision a little bit. But for 5 is if you have a weak contact. And the biggest reason, what I mean by weak contact is if you're consistently hitting the ball on your forearm, you're getting a lot of fingers, you completely miss the ball. I think a lot of it has to do with our arm swing. And so one of the things that happens with people who have bad contacts is this elbow comes forward way too early, and then they try to swing at the ball, and then that's when they're just getting a lot of contact. If you're early, this happens as well. This morning at our morning training in Hermosa, we went through a lot of arm swing mechanics and everything like that, and we just had people standing on the ground and really going through this drawback motion, trusting the time that it takes. I think for some reason we convince ourselves that we don't have enough time to go through that motion, but we do, especially if you're a fingertip hitter, because you're hitting early. And that means that if we went through that full drawback and then found that high contact, you'll be able to go. I think a really good way to think about this is, a lot of the times, we talked about this with serving as well, the third contact is not meant for you to just get the ball over the net on the other side of the court. The goal of attacking should be speed up the play. And if you can think about, I love using this idea of glass. If you can think about above the net, there's a wall of glass, and no matter what you're doing, an attack, a shot, a pokey, whatever, you have to break the glass. And if you're going in and you're doing these really early elbow pushes and you're kind of just pushing the ball, that probably bounce off the glass. You're not getting in trouble at home. Okay, so go through, find that full motion, and then go through that swing.
Should we come up with a product for that glass? Just like little foam noodles that you can lay on top of a net, and so that like people have to hit that for their serves.
I mean, I've been saying it so much recently. It's about time.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think a really easy drill to do with this is start on the ground. Really focus on what does your arm swing feel like. Find that drawback. I say it a lot. Imagine you have an annoying friend, annoying sibling, whatever it is, and they're standing behind you. When you go, you should
break their nose.
Breaking their nose with that back elbow or hitting them in the chest or something like that. I always talk about what's the monkey in Lion King? Rafiki.
Oh yeah.
I like that one move where he's like, bah, bah. Like, that's what it should feel like. Is we're Rafikiing it, and then we're going through that full arm swing. And just wrapping around the ball.
Nice. Did you see Lion King 2, by the way?
I did.
Yeah, not bad.
That was good. Or Mufasa, you're talking about.
Yeah, Mufasa. Oh yeah, I didn't see Lion King 2, but I saw Mufasa, which I think is Lion King.
We don't have time.
Mufasa was all right. All right. on our movie fans podcast, we'll do that.
Yeah.
Now, okay, so the last mistake is just not having vision. Okay, spacing counts for vision, and then just having your focus in two different places. Like I know it's a lot to just track the ball and get your feet to the ball, but one way is to just spread your peripherals so that you always know what's going on the other side of the court, or at least where they are. The better you get at this, the more you're going to be taking a hard look when your hands go back. So if we're taking our approach on the last two steps, when your hands go back, your eyes or a single eyeball should shoot forward. Okay? Yeah, shoot your eyeballs at people. But if you can't recognize after every attack, this is why I chose to hit that spot, right? Because this person was here and this person was here. There has to be a reason why you chose a spot. Okay. Baseline is hit that perimeter. If you can't look at all, just find perimeters all day. The next level to that is seeing exactly where they are. And one very easy drill that you could do at home with nobody is toss a high ball. I'm talking like above the top of a backboard, like that high. After you look at the flight of the ball, so don't look at the wall while you're doing this, but after you toss, you're going to look to the ball until it gets to its peak. Then you're going to look at the wall and then back to the ball again, and then just hit the ball. Like that alone will help. And you can also do that with a partner. You can add some like signifiers where your partner, once your toss reaches its peak, they can show you an open hand or a closed hand. That won't really change what you do, but all you have to do is say open or closed and then hit the ball just until you can get your eyes ball, court, ball. Like that is very important. And a lot of the mistakes that we see at camps is people toss while looking and waiting for it and then try to find the ball. You have to toss, find the ball first, then get to the ball, then see the court, then hit the ball, then look and at the ball and hit the ball. Okay. So it's a very easy drill. Toss high balls to yourself, follow the ball to its peak, look forward, then look to the ball again and hit it.
Yeah. And I would try to minimize how big that, like if you feel like you're nodding, that's too much. So it should imagine like your head probably shouldn't move much. You're just peeking down and then peeking back up. And I always say this too. I imagine attacking as like baking a cake. There are certain ingredients that you have to have, right? You have to have the approach. You have to have the timing. You have to have the spacing. You have to have all the set call, all that stuff. The vision is like the cherry on top. It's the extra stuff that you're putting on top of the cake that makes it a little bit better. But if you didn't have it, you're still okay. And easy, if you have people that just get out to the court and you just play. We've talked about this before on the podcast, but tell your partner that you don't want any sec calls.
Yes.
Tell them that you just want to go up, you want to use your vision, and you want to try to score. It's one of the biggest, best learning experience I've ever had in my life. It happened in a pro tournament, and I thought my partner was crazy. Drew Mallon, talked to him a couple of days ago. He's doing great. But yeah, going into it, he took a chance. He was like, I'm not calling any more calls for you for the rest of the tournament. And it allowed me to start looking at the court. It allowed me to trust myself. And that's when I really started like kind of climbing the ladder. But it took me being extremely uncomfortable for a little bit.
In the last like 6 or 7 weeks of playing with Kurt, I can't think of a single instance that I've told him high line or cut.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm setting, I'm getting ready to cover. And then I'm just like, do what you do. I know that he can see the court. I know that he can feel the blocker. He's at that level. He doesn't need me to help, and he shouldn't.
I played with a lot of people where I lied to them. Like people, I want them to be aggressive and they have a blocker up the net. And I'm like, nobody.
I've done that.
I'm like,
I've done that.
Go for it.
Trick him into being aggressive. Yeah. Okay. So guys, at the end of this episode, we've got a couple pieces of homework for you. One, please email support@better@beach or just DM us and say, hey, I'm a coach and I listen to your podcast. That would help us out a lot. Number two, if you've got a friend who is struggling with attacking or you think they could attack better, just share this with them. Okay. Share it in your group. Help us out, help us spread the word so that like the level of volleyball everywhere just goes up and people can have an easier time, because these tips will help make the game easier, help get you more friends, more partners, but also give you more comfort with the game. Okay. And if you want to join us for a training camp, you are more than welcome. Head to betteratbeach.com/camps. If you're listening as a coach and you want help running your club, organizing your team, developing your systems, Brandon is heading up our beach volleyball club consulting program. He's also working with indoor clubs because not much changes from the business organizational practice planning standpoint. So we're working with indoor clubs and beach volleyball clubs and teams who are new to coaching and new to growth and really want to set their business, their club, their team on the right path. So you can find that at betteratbeach.com as well. And if you're on YouTube, or if you're not, we're trying to get to 100,000. We want that plaque. So please go and subscribe on YouTube and subscribe to us on your favorite podcast channels or all of them.
I want a YouTube plaque picture with you.
Yes, we're doing it.
We need it.
It'll happen no matter what. I just want it to happen like before September 30th. Yeah. All right. That is it. Thank you guys so much for listening. Wish us a happy birthday. Wish us all luck for all of the teams that Brandon's coaching at Manhattan Beach Open, and for me and Kurt playing our first tournament in a long time. It should be a good time.
Let's do it, baby.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
See you guys later. We'll see you on the sand.